All right, hello everyone and welcome. My name is John and today I'm going to be repotting this gorgeous Ficus Elastica Tineke or Tineke. I'm getting ready to move in a couple months here and I'm leaving a lot of my larger plants at my mom's house because she loves them, and so I want to get a lot of them into a easier to maintain soil, something that holds on to moisture just longer and doesn't need to be carried to the sink all the time. So I'm going to be repotting this one today, and as you can see, this thing has got quite a bit of lean to it. It's actually 3 trees which I smushed together, wrapped up nice and tightly about a year ago. So I like that it has a nice bushy look on top, but I do want to try and get it to be centered and upright. So a lot of times everyone talks about ficuses really requiring chunky soils, and of course any plant is going to love a chunky soil because the roots have greater access to oxygen. But you can grow ficuses in a variety of soils in any plants, and it really depends on how much light you're giving them. So ficuses love light, so if you have it in a dark place with a very wet soil, that's going to be a killer combination. This plant gets honestly too much sun, so it's going to love this wetter soil. Now, one trick I like to use with my larger plants is I'll take them out of whatever pot they're in, I'll put them back into the exact same size pot, but with a soil that holds on to more moisture, and so that way they can stay in there and I don't need to worry about finding a new cache pot or basket or whatever it's going to require. Now, if you've been following me for any length of time, you'll probably have seen that the soils I've used, I've always been making my own soils. And over time, they've kind of gone from super, super chunky to like wetter. When I first got into plants, I was like reading about gritty mix and the 501 mixture and all these very chunky soils, and I became afraid that, I couldn't really use more like standard type of mixes, that it wouldn't work. But over time, I've learned that like plants will adapt to whatever you put them in, and really, if your plant is getting enough light, it can handle a decently wet soil. And you'll see that plants you get from a professional greenhouse are coming in like a soaking wet soil. And it's because they're growing in an environment where they get the most optimal conditions for growth. So they can handle that. But a lot of times when we put them in our home with that kind of soil and a low light combination, it's not going to work. So over time, I've kind of arrived at this soil mixture here, which is 1 part bark, 1 part potting mix, 1 part cocoa coir, and then 1 part pumice. And of course, you could use perlite or lava or something else instead of pumice, but I like pumice most of all. Lava is really great, but it's very heavy, and perlite works super well, but eventually it just floats to the top. So pumice would be my go-to choice for the gritty portion. Now, I'll show you some close-ups. There is quite a bit of browning on several of these leaves, and that actually has several potential causes, although I know in this case which one it is. But if you are overwatering a ficus like this, which means that the roots are dying from lack of oxygen, as those roots start to die, the plant won't be able to support as many leaves because the root system can't take up the nutrients and moisture it requires. So the lower leaves will start to get brown on the edges, and then that will progress upwards. It could also be from too much salt. So as you add fertilizer, fertilizers break down into salt. And over time, if you're not flushing your soils, then that salt builds up and it starts to cause issues for the plant, much like it would cause issues for us if we're adding salt to all the water that we drink. The third reason, and this is the case for mine, is that these variegated plants will burn from too much direct sunlight indoors. So I've grown this one since it was little. I've had it for over 3 years now, and when it's getting a lot of direct light, the leaves slowly burn. They kind of get a little toasted color first, and then eventually they turn brown. And when I grow it behind a sheer curtain, it doesn't do that at all, so I know it is the light. And of course it's strange because in the wild this thing gets blasted with full sun all day and it's fine, but I believe that has to do with, outdoor plants are more hardy in general, plus in its native jungle environment, it's getting a lot of humidity, and so there's several factors working in its favor in its natural habitat. So yeah, my plan for this, I don't have a really bright spot for this that doesn't get direct sun right now, so I'm just gonna let it grow and burn. It's happily growing and just slowly burning as well, and that's fine. And then in another year or two, I'll cut it back and get like a lot of branching up top, and all those leaves will be, you know, fresh and pristine, and hopefully I'll have an optimal location for it by that time. Okay, so without further ado, let's get this thing out of this pot and see what we're working with. Love when it's easy. Ficus roots are often brownish orange, so you'll only see white roots when they're brand new. Lots of roots in here. So we'll give this a nice little massage, get these roots loose, and then pop them into the new mix. So I'm just getting in here and working the soil off. Trying not to damage the roots, but not worrying too much about it anyways. I know that these roots are gonna be real happy when they get into a fresh pot of soil. This is why it's tipping over. All 3 of the support poles in there gone. The bamboo will decompose like this under the soil. Okay, so here we are. Mostly bare rooted, not all the way, and that's okay. So that looks pretty good. I think it is gonna need a pull. It's wanting to topple that way. Just the way they're not all growing straight up, so they're kind of leaning in that direction. So I'll just put a pull in the back here. Ta-da! There we go. Now that is looking good. All right. Cool, so I'm psyched on that. So it'll probably live in here for like 2 years or so without needing a repot. There's plenty of room for those roots to grow, especially in a wetter soil like this. And yeah, eventually I'll cut these. There'll be more branches up there and it'll look like a nice full tree. So definitely excited and thankful for the journey I've been on with this one, since it was one of my first plants I got well over 3 years ago now. So I hope this helps you, and if you enjoyed the video and you want to help me, please just hit the like and subscribe buttons and just drop me a comment. Let me know what you think. Now I know I'm getting excited for spring to come because I love repotting season. I love just doing a lot of plant chores. So a lot more things to look forward to. I hope you're looking forward to that as well. And for now, that's gonna do it. So I thank you so much for watching, and I wish you all the best with your plants and with your life. And hope to see you back here again real soon. Peace. Woo!